Hi everybody, welcome back to Football Manager Projects. It's a little bit more to talk about with you today. This time it concerns everybody's favorite face pack, the NewGAN Facepack by Zealand that you can find here on FM Base. If you are a Football Manager player, you should know about this. This is a great tool that Zealand and a couple of other people created, mostly to create a way to replace the really ugly-looking artificially generated faces that Sports Interactive has included in Football Manager. The reason why I want to bring this up today is because this can be kind of a challenge to get working right if you are running the game on Linux. And I will show you why. So the first thing you'll notice on this page is that there is no mention of Linux support anywhere. It will tell you what to do in the event of any bugs for Windows or for Mac. But it won't tell you what to do for Linux, which is interesting. When we go over to download, my first thought was, well, it must be that there's simply no version for Linux. No, there is. There's an installer made for Linux that was updated just about a year ago. And in fact, when we look at the change manager, the top change is a change for Ubuntu. I went ahead and tried to install it, and I'll do the same thing for you right now. So here's my handy dandy terminal. Hit enter, try to install the Linux version, and I get an error version. I get an error. And it's not really clear to me exactly what the error is. As you might be able to tell, I'm somewhat new to the world of Linux. I don't know exactly what it is that I'm looking at here or what the best way is to go about dealing with it. I did take a look here really quickly at the notes and at the comments. It was actually on the number 97 right here, where it looks like Linus Norton recommended that, if I can get him out of the way, recommended that we install a number of different dependencies that might get this working. Well, I just installed those dependencies and I went through the old Linux rule of thumb, which is that if it's broke, restart your machine. I gave that a try as well, and as you can see, we still have the same problem. So we do have a problem with the NewGAN Facepack. However, I realized when I sat down and thought about it that this isn't a huge issue. And the reason why this isn't a huge issue is because when you think about what this Facepack really is, you realize that all we're really doing is we're creating an XML file to point certain numbers that we take from the game to certain pictures in this database that they created. The reason why I say this and what I mean by this is that we can create sort of our own version of this, bypassing any sort of Linux support by just using a virtual machine. And that's exactly what I've done here. So if you can get some sort of version of Windows, maybe Windows 10 set up through any means necessary, and stick it on one of these handy QEMU KVMs, guess what you can do? You can put into full screen. You can go over there to your NewGAN manager. I already selected a profile. We can allow duplicates, replace faces. In fact, we can delete the whole thing. We can just start on over. We'll say anon. Then we go down here. If you haven't used this before, this is kind of the crazy way you have to use it. I didn't even put any of these files into any like real directory. I put it into downloads and graphics. So this is where it is. I didn't have to make any sort of fakey Sports Interactive directory. This is my RTF file, which just says test. I don't have Football Manager installed on the Windows side. I only have it installed on the Linux side. What I did is I took the RTF file and I emailed it to myself. There are other things you can do to get it to yourself. I know that when you're using a QEMU, you can create a temporary folder that can be shared between the host operating system and the guest operating system, the guest here being Windows. There are a whole bunch of different things that you can do. I personally prefer just using an email and sending it over email. And I usually click on allow duplicates. They used to create an error message if you didn't do that. It would freeze everything. Click on replace faces and you're finished. Now what do? Well, you don't have to take all of these photos and email them back to you, back to yourself. All you have to do is click into your folder and look for this config XML file. And if we just take a look at this config XML file, you'll see what I'm talking about, right? Everything is set up here as long as your as long as your directories are set up the way that they should be, as long as the numbers are right, as long as you're following the instructions and getting it from the right place, this will work perfectly well. You just take this config file and stick it on into this folder, fmNewGAN v2 plus update 1, in your Linux installation. If you do that, you'll be able to bypass these problems. You won't have any problem at all. And you won't have to worry about installation programs that don't work. You won't have to worry about dependencies. You won't have to worry about anything. So that's my tip of the day for you and for all other Football Manager Linux users. With that, I will talk with you tomorrow. Bye.